Today, one of my projects is finishing up this sketchbook. I used epoxy sculpt clay to put some butterflies, and this is going to be a little pond and some grass. I painted all black. I have some beads and buttons on here. I paint it black, and then I go over it with like metallic paint to make it shine. This little thing right here that I'm putting my brush in is a Christmas gift from my daughter. It's a paintbrush toilet that she got from the TikTok shop. There's a few different ones. I don't know what brand this is. It's well, I'm not going to say the brand because I'm not promoting any brand, but I do like this little thing. So you use the water, and then you press the little button to flush it. It does the job for the most part, and then it refills with clean water. Kind of cool. I don't really need the clean water because I'm just using one color anyways, but I do like it. And it has a little brush holder on the side. I'm just using black paint, Mars Black, Liquitex, acrylic. And then the inside of the book, it's a sketchbook, so it's just blank pages. And it's a hardcover so that it can tolerate the weight. Oops, it just got water on it. Don't want to get water on it because I don't want it to warp the back of the cover, which is kind of doing a little bit. But if you do this, use a hardcover book so it can tolerate the weight of the clay, because it is pretty heavy now. And you just put the clay right on top while it's wet, and it will harden and it stays. I love epoxy sculpt. I've been using it a lot. The only drawback to it, there's a couple drawbacks. It is kind of sticky. You need to use gloves when you mix it. You don't necessarily need to use gloves when you mold with it, although I don't want my fingerprints on clay pieces, so I try to use gloves when I'm molding with it. So you can use water to smooth it out, but it's hard to mold with it with gloves on for me, and it's good to mold with it with gloves on so that you don't develop an allergy to it. Just because you don't have an allergic reaction to it doesn't mean you never will. You can develop allergies to something. So, but it's great because it's very versatile. It's strong. It dries like stone. It will chip if you and can break if you drop it. However, it's not as strong as stone, but it is stone-like. It's paintable, so I paint it black, and then I like to have a black base because when I put metallic on top of it, it gives it a really cool effect. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I figured while I did this, I would talk a little bit about a mental health related issue. And it's a little bit of a soapbox of mine. So, and it's this black that's on my plate has been drying up, so I'm going to put a little bit of fresh paint on here. So I just might ramble a little bit. And if you don't want to hear the rambling about my soapbox and you want to watch the painting, play some music, put me on mute. That's totally fine. Sometimes just watching somebody else paint with relaxing music while I'm painting is relaxing for me, and it kind of gets me in the creative mode. So that's okay if that's what you want to do. I'm just going to be painting black on this thing pretty much the whole time, so it might be kind of boring. But if you want to hear me rant, here I go. It's the topic of gaslighting. It seems like mental health related things, there's like fads, so to speak, and trends. Something's trendy, And for a while in 2000 and, was it 12? 2022, especially, I think. 2022, gaslighting was the trend. You know, like you don't hear the word or the term, and then that's all you hear. Same with trauma bonding. You know, trauma bonding comes out, and then everybody uses it. The same thing happened with CPTSD as opposed to just PTSD. There's complex PTSD now. And, you know, whether, you know, people agree with me or not, I think all PTSD is rather complex. I don't necessarily feel the need to differentiate, and I'm not trying to dismiss the experience of people that have PTSD or CPTSD. But I also don't want people that don't have that C in front of their PTSD, because you know, I don't want them to feel like, oh, you know, mine is less than. You know, it's PTSD is a very complex thing anyways. Trauma is complex. People are complex. There's nuances to everything. But the trend and the issue that I want to talk about is an issue that I have is I have a difficult time recalling words sometimes. And it could be due to my lupus, it could be due to my medication that I take for my migraines, it could be due to my ADHD. It could be due to so many different things. My age, I don't know. It's not my age. I hate when my doctors say, well, you know, you're getting up there. I think it's mostly ADHD and my medication that I take for my migraines. I used to think it was lupus brain, but I think it's the other stuff now. Gaslighting. That's what I was trying to recall. Gaslighting. I want to talk about gaslighting. People will use gaslighting anytime now, it seems, that when someone disagrees with them or has a different perspective. And I think it's important that we not misuse it and overuse it. So there's this movie called Gaslight, and it was originally done, I believe, in the 40s. And I really want to see the original one. I'm planning to watch the original one. And then it was redone, I believe, in 2022. And that's when I heard a lot about Gaslight. It was either 2020, yeah, it was 2022. It didn't get a whole bunch of stars in the ratings. And I think it was considered like a poorly done movie, but I didn't watch it. But from what I hear, the premise is that, or the storyline anyways, is that a woman is married to some man that, I don't know if this was in the first one, the second one, both of them, I'm not sure. But in a movie, anyways, this happens, and I don't know if it's the movie Gaslight or a different one, but in a movie, a husband puts a radio or something in the ductwork, the HVAC ductwork in their home, and the woman tells the husband that she's hearing things coming from the heat vent, and asks if he hears it or something along those lines, and he says no, he doesn't, and this keeps going on and on and on until he keeps amping it up. She keeps, you know, she's determined that she's hearing something, and then maybe now they're commanding her to do something, I'm not sure, or maybe they're talking about her, they're referencing her specifically, and either way, he goes to get her evaluated for mental health issues, and she's deemed to be crazy or say, schizophrenic or whatever, delusional, because she's hearing things that he's saying he doesn't hear. And the whole time, he was setting this up. He was purposefully putting this stuff in the heating and air conditioning vents so that she would actually hear the stuff, and then he had her believing that she was going crazy. And so I think it's important for us to consider that gaslighting is an intentional act to intentionally have the other person not believe themselves. But it's intentionally malicious. And it's the maliciousness that people seem to forget or not consider or not even know, just out of just not knowing, maybe being misinformed or misinterpreting. You know, TikTok and social media, I love it and hate it. What I love about it is that we can stay connected to things, we can learn things, we can stay entertained. I love TikTok, as I would do a TikTok and tell you, I'm about to say, don't listen to the people on TikTok that teach you about mental health stuff. And I'm on here trying to teach about mental health stuff. So take that for what it's worth. But there's people that don't have degrees. And I want to say I am licensed in the state of New York. But I'm not saying that this is therapy by any means. I'm not providing you therapy. If you have a situation, you need to discuss that with someone who's licensed in your state. This is not meant to take the place of any sort of therapy whatsoever. But what I'm trying to do is just kind of do some, public service announcement here, that there's people that have been wronged or have felt wronged or have gotten out of very hurtful relationships, and then they put their experience on social media as if it's fact, like their own perspective as if it's fact. Like, maybe they have been hurt by somebody that happens to have a diagnosis of something, and then they automatically assume that everybody with that diagnosis is hurtful in the same way. And so they spread on social media that everybody with that diagnosis is evil, is vindictive and hurtful. Not everybody that has narcissism, by the way, we all have some, but not everybody with narcissism is a narcissist in the true sense of that word. And not everybody with that has narcissistic traits has toxic narcissistic traits. So there's a lot of nuance in this stuff. And so it worries me when people go on these outlets and spread information that's not accurate. And so while I am spreading some information here, what I'm saying might feel like nails on a chalkboard to some professionals as well. So I'm just going to encourage you to take it in and still, talk it over with the professionals in your area. And there's some therapists that would disagree with me, and that's okay. But, therapists are people too. And sometimes, we, including myself, we get it wrong. And sometimes we, including myself, spread information based on more of emotion than fact. But I really want, people to know that simply disagreeing with somebody about how something may have went without the maliciousness, meaning intending to be hurtful. You know, if I say to you, you know, when we were at that party, you said this, and you were trying to do this to me, and you say, Nikki, I wasn't trying to do that. That wasn't my intention at all. And I say, don't gaslight me. Yes, it was. I'm not necessarily using that term correctly, because I'm assuming your intentions, and maybe you're lying about your intentions, but more likely I'm assuming wrong about your intentions. Now, if this is, you know, abuse over and over and over again, and it's happening, you know, and it's, you know, that's something different. But not everything is gaslighting. You know, you have to consider the maliciousness of it. And when you're trying to consider that, consider the person and consider their character. If this is, you know, if you're in a friendship with someone and this person's been a good friend or a good spouse, or it's your therapist and you know that your therapist and you have a really good working relationship, and there's a disagreement about something, or, you know, there's the therapist or even the client's trying to just clear the air on something, perhaps it's not gaslighting, you know, perhaps it's just a different perspective. And what the problem with accusing somebody of gaslighting when they're trying to talk about their own perspective is that it shuts down communication. And you don't want that. We don't want people shutting down the lines of communication, especially healthy communication. True gaslighting is hurtful. It truly is. You know, maliciously working, like putting in true effort to make sure that this person truly believes that they're going crazy. I was watching, I love Bluey. I love that commercial. Oh my gosh. I love that cartoon so much, that kids show so much, that like I don't need young children to watch these things. I have grandchildren, but I don't need my grandchildren here to watch Bluey. I'm painting my living room right now. Well, not right this second. Right now I'm painting a sketchbook, but I'm also in the process of painting my living room because I have ADHD. So I have a million things started and nothing finished. But I put on Bluey for my dogs. I say it's for my dogs. It's for me. My dogs don't give a crap about Bluey. I mean, I wish they did, but they don't. But while I was watching Bluey, I love it. I love the adult humor that's in there. But I actually said to myself, oh my God. And I also, I believe in free speech. And I hate this cancel culture shit. I hate it. But, so I don't want to go so far as to say they can't say this stuff. I chuckled at it though, because I was like, oh my God, Bluey. On Bluey, there was gaslighting. There was gaslighting, true gaslighting on Bluey yesterday. The kids were playing with their dad, and they were playing, I don't remember what the episode was called, Statue maybe. Maybe it was Statue. And the kids are pretending that they're selling their father a statue, and he's like, is it a magic statue? And Bluey is selling Dad, who I learned yesterday, his name is, what the hell's Dad's name? It's like a regular dog's name. I'm not going to try to remember it here. Oh, God, I want to try to remember. It's a regular dog's name. What's a dog? It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. And I know you guys are probably yelling at me on this. But anyways, it's not Fido. So he's like, is this a magic statue? And there's Bluey's selling him the statue, and Buster, is that his name, Buster? I don't know. And Bingo is the statue. And so he puts the statue someplace, and when he turns his back, Bingo moves, and he turns around and the statue's gone. And he's wondering what keeps happening. And Bluey actually says to him, like, he's like, wasn't it just here? I thought it was just here. What's going on? And Bluey actually says, I don't know, maybe you're going crazy. I'm like, that's gaslighting. Like, they know, Bluey knows that Bingo is moving around. They know that that Bingo is not where she was when Dad last looked at her. And Bluey says, maybe you're going crazy. Now, it's kidding around, it's joking, it's playing, it's having fun. So I don't believe that episode needs to be banned. I think that's ridiculous. I think we can all just have fun with it. But that is gaslighting. That actually is gaslighting. I mean, the only part of it that's not gaslighting is they're actually playing and they're not maliciously trying to really make Dad believe that he has schizophrenia or he's actually going crazy. But that's as close as it gets, guys. I mean, like, except for the fact that they're playing a game and they're not really trying to have Dad, put in a mental institution. But, as far as a kid's cartoon goes, it's pretty damn close. But disagreeing and saying, I don't agree with you, it didn't go that way. I saw it differently. That's not what I saw happen at the party. Or I don't have that perspective at all. My perspective is very different than yours. Or no, that's not what I meant to say. Or no, that's not my intention. And if the person is honestly saying, I did not intend that, and that wasn't what I meant, and that wasn't, trying to clear the air about an inaccurate assumption about someone else's intentions, an inaccurate interpretation of what happened, or just sharing a different perspective, that is not gaslighting. And folks, please stop doing that. It needs to stop because it shuts down conversation. It shuts down communication, and it makes us go in the opposite direction of where we need to go. We need to have open, honest conversation, and we need to not be silenced. What happens is the other person doesn't like to be challenged. The other person doesn't want their own interpretation to be challenged because now that's uncomfortable. And I want to win this fight. And so what do? They shut the person up. They silence them by saying, don't gaslight me. And what can the other person do to that? Especially if the other person has less knowledge about mental health related issues, less knowledge about what gaslighting actually is. It shuts them up. And that goes against what we're trying to do. And that's a form of manipulation. And one could argue that that's gaslighting because I'm not gaslighting. And now, am I? Am I gaslighting? Oh my God, am I a gaslighter? So what if that's gaslighting? What if calling what the other person is doing as gaslighting when it's not? What if that's gaslighting? Again, though, intention. If you actually believe it's gaslighting, even though it's not, and you say it is, then it's not intentional. You're not gaslighting because you think it is. Maybe because you've been misinformed. When there's TikToks and stuff out there that says, if you think that this is going on and your partner says it's not, that's gaslighting. No, it's not. It's more than that. Nothing is that black and white. There's nuance. You have to have a conversation. And people need to tolerate disagreements. They need to tolerate not being right. They need to tolerate having their assumptions challenged. They need to tolerate hearing the other perspective. And if you can't do that, then that's your work. That's your work in therapy. And if it's true gaslighting where the person is intentionally telling you you're a bad partner, you're a crappy partner, you're a shitty mom or a shitty dad, you don't care, you don't do anything around here, when there's clear evidence and you know this, and there's evidence that this person is being hurtful on purpose and is purposefully trying to make you believe something that is not true about you and is trying to make you doubt yourself and doubt your sanity. That is gaslighting, when the person is purposefully, maliciously trying to make you doubt your sanity. So if that's happening, yeah, that needs to be addressed. And that can be addressed in couples counseling first if physical abuse is not happening. That's another soapbox that I have. Therapists that allow for couples counseling when there's actual physical abuse going on in the home. That's a very dangerous situation. But if there's not actual physical abuse going on in the home, you can address that gaslighting in couples counseling. If it continues, then yeah, you can think, make a plan going forward on what you need to do. And I'm not about to say what you need to do, because that's a personal, issue with whatever, depending on your morals and values and belief system. But I'm not here to discredit or dismiss or minimize the actual harm that gaslighting does. It is toxic. It is a form of abuse. I will agree with that. But not every disagreement or confrontation or challenge to what you are saying, to what a person says about how something went or what someone is saying or their interpretation of a situation, that's not all gaslighting. That's just conversation. It's courageous conversation. It's discussion. And when people can't tolerate hard discussion, they often say the other person is gaslighting so that they can get out of the conversation. And that's manipulation. And that stretching it, if it's malicious, could arguably border on the cusp. I'm not willing to say it is, but one might say, someone else might say, I won't, but someone else might say that's gaslighting. I hope you can consider that, all of what I have said. It's starting to look better. It's getting to be monochrome, almost-ish. And I hopefully will be able to show you more when it's complete. Take care. Happy non-gaslighting day. Bye.